there was a young man named James Dobson, only son of a single mother. He badgered his mom to let him join the Marine Corps at 17 years old, and we were up in, right up at the DMZ, and we went out, and John and I went down this wooden trail, or bamboo trail, dense jungle, and we bumped into two North Vietnamese, right at the T-section. John's went that way, and mine went that way. I chased him down, but he just disappeared in the brush. And we were carrying M14s at that time, and I heard a round go off. I said, "Ah, damn, that is a AK-47, distinct different sound." I went down there, and John was dead. Man, never forget it. I mean, the kid never made it to 18 and a half. Nah, man, John Dobson. Nah. I enjoy people and watching them die. It's just ridiculous. Why did we have to go down that street? When John got killed and the guys picked him up and put him in by the command center, and they put the poncho over him, what was amazing was it was an open patch of jungle, and the sun was shining down directly on John on that poncho. I said, you know what? I think he made the big trip to heaven, because he was a devout Christian kid too. So I said, oh, but I still close my eyes to this day, and I visualize that patch of bareness and him under the poncho and the sun shining on him. Wow. That kicked my butt, let me tell you. Wow. And the other guys too, man, all you did was, you grieve a few seconds over and just carry on, put a poncho over him, call up the choppers, throw them on the chopper, and they were gone. Yeah, it's tough. Anybody tells you they think combat is glorious, they're full of crap. There ain't nothing cute about it. It's a deadly serious business. The military, okay, we were in hot pursuit with Operation Prairie. North Vietnamese were right at the border. North Vietnamese were dropping back rear guard so the main body could get back to the north. And all of a sudden, we were told, all right, we can't go any farther. The border ends here. We can't go no further. And I'm thinking, we've been in hot pursuit of these guys for the whole day. We come to something that's non-existent because there's a line there. We should have kept going and just kicked their ass. That was my opinion. But no, politics. Politics gets people killed. Nah, sad. Sad. There's a couple of times that I thought, holy smokes, all of a sudden everything's quiet, you're walking a patrol, and all of a sudden there's a few people out there shooting at you. That wakes you up real quick, and if you're not scared, you're a liar. No, but otherwise, no, it was hairy. I think the biggest one was when Spencer got sick, like I just told you about Spencer. And he said, oh, you got the squad 8 guys. I said, you're going to go down the hill and set up a night ambush. And I'm going, holy smokes, I got 7 people underneath me, and if I screw up, I'm going to get people killed. So anyway, one of the newbies managed to kick a flare because we were going through concertina wire, and it was just all this, right? You don't make a straight trail up or down a hill. And he kicked a flare and lit up the whole frickin' hill. And I said, well, every North Vietnamese out there in Nong Son area knows what they know we're coming. So I made a quick decision. I said, well, if I'm going to go for jail for this, I'll take it. I told the guys to stay down take a knee for about 5, 6, 7 minutes so their eyes could adjust from back to midnight, and I turned them around and walked them back up the hill. I said, no, I'm not going to sacrifice anybody because of somebody's stupidity. So I walked them back hill, but that terrified me. Man alive. Yeah, I was all of, 19 years old? Jeez Louise. Most of the time I was walking point, and this time I was tail end Charlie. And that's the day Doc Youngman got killed. I was walking tail end, and when I'm walking through the water up to here, and I had a canteen on my backpack here, and all of a sudden I felt this whop, and I turned around. I said, oh man, what was that? But I'm walking over the water at this time, and the water was about yay deep, in some parts deeper. And I got up on the bank. Doc Youngman was Youngman was working on one of the guys who got hit pretty good, and it was just me, Doc, and he was working on one of the guys. And so I yelled at Doc, "Everything okay?" He said, "Okay." And I kept going, and I turned around, and he just whop. Somebody, a sniper, took him down because all three of us were out in the open. So I hauled ass to the bank over there to get myself covered. But he died that day. But having a hole put through your canteen, I've got it sitting in my gun rack at the house. Oh yeah, I know. It's, whoa, that was a wake-up call. That's as close as I got to it. But it was close enough. The battalion was out. The lead squad took rounds from a house right down Highway 1, which is basically a dirt street like this. And so the rest of us, way in the back, we just laid on the side of the road. And we could hear the guys busting around at this house. And there was a couple of North Vietnamese in there. And they were just keeping them suppressed. And there was back and forth firefight. And we're all relaxing, we're shooting the breeze. Well, how are the guys doing up there? We're still hearing rounds coming in. And all of a sudden, we're laying on our backs, just soaking up the sun, resting a little bit. This phantom comes screaming treetop level, burning all the barrels at this house. You ever hear the expression, well, I'll put it nicely, assholes and elbows. That's all you saw going for cover, because I mean, we thought we were going to get it, but it was one of our treetop level. I mean, you didn't even hear it until he was 100 feet past you. That's how fast he was going treetop. But he took that house out. The problem was solved. But I've never seen so many Marines scatter in my life, man. I mean, whoa. Yeah, it's ridiculous, but it's true. Sometimes the comical errors that happen, you come back and say, whoa, that was stupid. No, I had to laugh. One time we were at Mountain Yard Village, above Da Nang up there. And we got up to this village to see what's cooking, and this afternoon, Spence and I are laying, let's say, over here. He's here and I'm here. Oh no, Spence was over here and I was on this left side. It was a bunch of Vietnamese kids on the other side of the street. They'd never seen a 6'2" white guy, let alone a black dude, right? So Spence and I talking, I said, Spence, I think they're talking about you. No, I think they're talking about you. So anyway, finally, one of the kids was picked to go over to Spence and do the smudge test. And we're laying there, and that kid walks up to, takes his finger and goes on Spence's arm like this, looks at his finger, runs back and says, it doesn't come off. And Spence and I, we just busted out laughing. Some of the humor that we had was sick, but that's the way it was. That's the way you kept your sanity. Really, really. It was hilarious. Oh. Spence looks up and said, white man. He said, no, it don't come off. we were running cover for a truck convoy going from Fulak 6 back to Anwa. And the lead truck would come off of the hill and it was L-shaped. And there's a tree line there at the bottom of the L. And the truck got the snot shot out of him by a bunch of gooks in the tree line. So we're at the bottom of the L, and we were just guarding the trucks, and we jumped off and mowed the grass, and they were gone. But I jumped in the trench line where they had fired from. Spence was there first, and I jumped after him, and I landed wrong, and we cleared the area. And so anyway, I landed bad, and I snapped this son of a gun, every ligament in it. I could hear the crack, and I yelled to Spence. Spence didn't see me for a second. Hey, Dutchie, where are you? I said, over here, Spence. I think I busted my leg. He said, what? I said, yeah, I think I just busted my leg. So anyway, got a cast put onto that thing. They flew me to Da Nang with some of the wounded. Spent a couple of days or about a week in Da Nang. And so I could walk again. I hopped a ride out of Da Nang to Anwa again with one of the airplanes dropping equipment. That's how we got back and forth. He just walked to Da Nang airstrip, said, hey, you going to Anwa? Yeah, or Da Nang or wherever. And his major says, yeah, come on in, Marine. So I got on the plane, flew up there, and we get to the end of the airstrip, beginning of the landing, and the plane was taking rounds. Somebody at the end of the airstrip put 2 holes in that airplane, and he said, and I was the only person left on the plane, and he yells at me and says, you better hang on because I'm gonna come in steep. And I mean, it was like this, jump, and then sit down at Anwa. Yeah, and I'm holding on to the back of his seat because he says, you want to see this? Get up behind my seat. So I'm saying, scared the bejeebers out of me, man. I thought I was going to eat the deck over there. But anyway, yeah, so it came out okay. But then when I took the cast off, and I didn't realize it, but we were at Anwa, and I'm still recouping in the sick bay area. And about 3 weeks in, just before I was going to get the cast taken off, we got hit by mortars. All of a sudden we could hear boom, 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 and it sounded like they're walking right to the medical building over there. So anyway, we all screamed, incoming. Well, those hooches are about 2 feet off of the ground, so the monsoonal rains will just run underneath it. Well, we all scattered for the door, and there was only one. And this other Marine fell down in front of the door. I said, I'm not waiting for you, dude. So I said, launch yourself over him. And I said to myself, if I'm going through the air, I said, don't land on the cast. You'll re-break your foot. So I landed on this one and thought nothing of it. Although the next day, it was slightly sore. And they took the cast off. Okay, so I walked patrol, nothing. Okay. And the pain was pretty well gone, but it was still painful for the first couple of weeks. The VA at La Jolla finally figured out why my ankle so disformed. What had happened, I landed on that foot, and where it bends, it's got that cup in there. It was all cracked because they did what are they called, they put in that machine and just dissects your foot. And the doctor asked me, he said, what did you do to that foot? I said, you got nothing but arthritis growing in there. And I said, I don't know. So I'm thinking that night, I said, the bell rang. I said, I landed on that ankle. And I just walked it into the ground. And it was so embarrassing for me. I had always believed that when you got a Purple Heart, you had to bleed. But unknown to me, no. I got a Purple Heart for busting that leg in the firefight, and I'm standing there in the Purple Heart formation at the Memoir was being called, and all the guys said, I'm standing in line watching, yeah, okay, you got a bullet hole and shrapnel, this and that. Well-deserved Purple Hearts, and having the last name of Van Leeuwen, you're last on the list. And all of a sudden I hear him say, Van Leeuwen front and center, and I'm looking, I said, is there another Van Leeuwen here somewhere? And Spencer comes up to me, he slaps me, he says, hey, meet him, get over there, it's yours. Mine? Oh, I'd never been so embarrassed in my life, telling the truth. Oh, but you can't turn it down, so I took it. Yeah, I came in very late at night, at about 12 o'clock, so there was nobody there at the LAX. My parents and all my brothers and sisters were there, and we had no harassment, but I talked to some of the guys who in San Francisco. It was obscene, calling these guys baby killers, this and that. Personally, I think they should have given them sidearms. No, because to do that to your own troops, you know, you might disagree with them, but to be called baby killers and murderers, that to me is obscene. You did your job. And we have to live with that for the rest of our lives. Nah, there's nothing cute about it. But to be harassed like that they didn't keep just an open area to let the guys come in and let them go home, you know? But to get shouted down and called every nasty name in the world, to me it's pathetic. I adapt pretty quick, but you can see I still get emotional when I talk about it, because it's a terrible experience. That's, you know, you go at it like John Wayne, and then all of a sudden you think, this is not like John Wayne. That's why I've always said John Wayne's a liar. There ain't nothing cute about young men killing one another. I'm not upset, but one of the guys at the VA said, well, Robert, how do you feel about it? I said, you're a pretty happy-go-lucky person. I said, oh, I don't forget, though. I said, but you know what? I got and some of the people said, well, Robert, you got Agent Orange out of it. I said, yeah, and a cheap Purple Heart for a snapped ankle during a firefight. I said, but you know what? My premise is I'm living for the guys who have died. That's all I can say about it. It's just, I'm alive. And yeah, sometimes I think, geez, am I feeling guilty? I said, no, I don't feel guilty. I look at it this way, the good Lord decided to keep me around, or these guys were lousy shots. But anyway, it's a heartfelt thing. It really is.